While CrossWorlds is close to release, I figured the best way to handle my withdrawals was by playing other racing games. While some were fun, I still was itching for more CrossWorlds, so I decided it was time to look back at a Sonic game that I'm personally fond of. Not only because it's a Sonic game, but because this game did a good job at capturing the spirit of racing and competition. Say what you will about the Rider series, especially with how its last game was treated, but there's just no denying that the first game left an impact for many. Sonic Riders just has an aesthetic that just can't be matched. I'd go as far as to say that other racing games in general can't even match the same aesthetics that Riders has. So with that said, I replayed the entirety of Sonic Riders, and not only do I want to tell you guys about why I enjoyed it so much, but also how Sonic Riders is the perfect Sonic racing game. When it comes to the story, it's actually short. If you're a pro gamer, you'll definitely finish this game's story ASAP. Or you can be like me and crash and kiss the rails for a couple hours. So what is the plot of Sonic Riders? Well, Sonic is out here with Tails and the Fraud, looking for a Chaos Emerald, but things take a turn when they see three crazy individuals from the city of Paris flying off on hoverboards like they're playing Tony Hawk. Sonic over here chases them because they have the Chaos Emerald in hand. Which, I gotta ask, what was Bro thinking here? They ended up passing him, so like, what was the plan? Either way, Knuckles gets a lick on one of these guys, which leads to Sonic chasing them with a hoverboard, but gets caught lacking by the leader of this group, and after taking the fat L, Sonic decides that there's only one thing left to do.
Well, if I can't take his trophy, then I'll have to take his virginity.
No, but real talk. The next day, Eggman drops a new video announcement like he's Kai Cenat, talking about hosting an X-World Grand Prix where the entry fee is a whole Chaos Emerald. Sonic and the boys decide to participate because Eggman also showcases the exact same ops that made Sonic eat the floor as they're part of the race as well. These individuals are the Babylon Rogues, Jet the Virgin, Wave the Menace, and Storm the Special. Tails gives a little context on who the Babylon Rogues are and why the hoverboards hover. Well, all you need to know is that 1, they're hoodlums, and 2, they fly, and Marty McFraud over here wishes that he had one of these during the events of Back to the Future. The group embarks on racing, some trash talking here, some Tony Hawk tricks over there, and they even have the homie Nathaniel. Oh my god, Nathaniel, no! This Grand Prix ends at the desert where Sonic and Jet race to see who's the fastest. But I mean, come on, this is Sonic Riders, not Jet Riders. Sonic takes the lead and... Oh my god! Wave just sniped Sonic! Jet won? My god, maybe this game is called Jet Riders after all. Well, yeah, Jet won and uses the Tesseract to make the Chaos Emerald summon the fabled skate park. But just like the bum Jet is, he is caught lacking and Eggman robs him of everything he owns and goes to the skate park with Amy tagging along because she thought she could stop him, but winds up getting kidnapped. Oh yeah, and just like other Sonic games, there's a secondary story to give more context. Eggman gaslights these bums to help him get the 7 Chaos Emeralds so he himself can get to the floating skate park and use their ancient hoodlum tech. Is he on a fucking Vespa? From here, the plot converges from both groups, but they have different plot points. The hero story ends with Sonic racing Jet one last time and beats him so badly that Jet disconnects like a Windows device. The Babylon Rogues plot is having all the secondary characters run for their lives as Eggman's robots are trying to slime them. Oh my god, is that Nathaniel? He's alive! Let's go! Additionally, we also get to see what happens after the hero story. The Babylon Rogues open up the secret treasure only to find some genie-looking thing attacking them, where now they and Team Sonic race together to defeat this fraud. And I say fraud because this is by far top 10 easiest bosses in the Sonic series. No, seriously, this is genuinely one of the easiest bosses I've ever encountered. Babylon Garden and Sky Road were way worse than this. Everyone gets to see what the secret treasure is, but all is lost when Eggman pulls up with the Doolsies. It is here where we, yes, we, find out that the treasure is actually a carpet. Baffled, Eggman gets yoked, and eventually the group finds out that it's actually a flying carpet. And we see an awesome cinematic of everyone going their separate ways with one of the hardest songs playing. And that's basically Sonic Riders. Very simple and straight to the point, and I genuinely couldn't find any real problems that took me away from the plot. Though, what isn't simple is the gameplay, and honestly, it might be the sole reason why this game itself is perfect. Right off the bat, you are given very few choices, but when playing, you have the option of doing single races, Grand Prix, story mode, or even some of the party modes like survival and tag mode. Either way, when you start playing, it can be confusing because there are no tips or tutorial sections to help you understand the controls of this game, basically making you learn how to play through trial and error. Well, at least that's how it was for me when I was a kid. Playing this game today, I navigated to the theater section in the extras menu and realized that Sega just gave us a whole video on how to play the game and said good luck and go f*** yourself. I think that's a poor decision to make because the aspect that I love about the gameplay in Sonic Riders is how in-depth the game's mechanics are. Though you can't really enjoy these mechanics if you are thrown into the game without any kind of assurance to get you going. Although, once you're able to understand the fundamentals of this game, it's an unforgettable experience. When starting a race, you are given a variety of characters to play as. Some in the story, some from the Sonic franchise itself, and even some characters that are just from other Sega IPs. What makes these characters worthwhile to play is how they each specialize in a specific trait. Characters like Sonic and Jet are speed types, meaning they're able to grind on rails, while characters such as Tails and Wave are flying types, being able to take shortcuts that require you to maneuver through the air. While power types, in my opinion, are the most busted type in this game, as literally any obstacle won't be an issue as you simply brute force your way through the course without getting any sort of knockback. What was once a challenge of dodging cars or walls to avoid losing speed is non-existent with a power character. That's also not to say that power characters are the only ones that have the best perks, as they're limited to staying in the ground to benefit their uses. Speed types can grind on rails with ease and are straightforward, assuming you nail the landing correctly. While flying, it gives you a direct path to the next section of the track if you can master its controls. Not only that, but I do feel like the flying shortcuts are the best payoff, as it's the one that requires increased precision to navigate through the hoops to keep your momentum going. With that said, the characters aren't the only aspect that differentiate a race. The extreme gear given in this game all have different stats, meaning that you can give characters bonus effects. Say you're playing as Rouge, a flying character, but you choose the broom. It'll now give you the ability to take grinding shortcuts on top of the flying shortcuts you would normally take as Rouge. Alternatively, you can also choose the drill bike, as that'll give you all the character traits, so no shortcut is inaccessible to you. There's even a Chaos Emerald exclusive to Sonic where he becomes Super. Now it seems busted, but the problem is that the form takes rings instead of air, meaning that you'll have to know the best routes to maximize your rings or else you'll lose them ASAP. I wouldn't say it's bad by any means, as it gives you a real challenge where the payoff is increasing your stats, assuming you can manage the fastest routes on the course without losing your rings at all. Though, that's not to say that all the rides in this game are challenging in a good way. There's a literal cloud you can purchase through the item shop, and my god, its handling is so sensitive that it is difficult to race with. A handicap to yourself, if you will. Not only that, there are even motorbikes you can use in this game, but they consume air so fast that you're basically in for a bad time if you aren't restoring the air ASAP by doing tricks at all. But they are cool to use, especially because it's got my boy Eggman using them primarily. I mean, just look at this guy styling it on the Vespa, my god! Which leads me to the next part of the game's mechanics that really makes the game stand out, the air gauge. When racing in this game, you have an air gauge that's constantly being consumed. In order to replenish this gauge, you have three options: leveling up during the race, refueling at a pit stop, but the main way to replenish your air gauge is through the trick system that this game offers, as landing tricks will replenish your air gauge. Alternatively, you can also ride the slipstreams of others to get your air back, but it's just performing air tricks at the end of the day. The only other notable part of this mechanic, I will say, is that while it is fun to slipstream others and get massive amounts of speed, it also sucks in my opinion. Once you're in a slipstream, you are in there till you're caught up to the person you're slipstreaming, meaning that if you plan to perform a high jump or take a shortcut, good luck, because you can't escape this slipstream at all. It's not the worst if you stay in the lead, but I will say it does get a little bit frustrating. And that is why I always prefer opting in for air tricks to replenish my air gauge over slipstreaming. Which leads us to the next segment of the gameplay, the air tricks. Honestly, the main selling point of Sonic Riders is how amazing the trick system is. When coming up on ramps and certain ledges, you can hold the A button to charge the jump, where timing it correctly will result in long air times, allowing yourself to perform some crazy tricks. There's even a whole ranking system as well, where the more tricks you perform and land smoothly, the higher the rank you will be given, though failing to land correctly will make you lose momentum and have a lower rank. This itself is fun because it gives you this risk and reward scenario where you have to figure out how many tricks you can do before landing, or if it's even worth going crazy at all, because what makes this work well is the ramp mechanic as well. Managing to time the jump and paying attention to the direction you need to be facing, you can gain some insane heights and even take faster routes to stay in the lead. It does take some practice, but mastering these mechanics rewards you by showing you how fast you can go in the game. Not only that, but it's just so cool seeing what tricks each character performs. I mean, look at my boy Shadow. He's out here giving some zest in those poses. But don't get me wrong, the air tricks and ramping aren't the only gameplay aspects that are in depth, as there's a whole level system where collecting the required amount of rings will level yourself up, meaning that you have an increased amount of air, speed, and your attacks towards others will change. Which can I say, the attacks are by far the most hilarious thing that I've seen come out of a Sonic game. Characters like Knuckles and Amy will yell at you as an attack, and just seeing their heads expand is otherworldly levels of goofy. Not only that, but characters like Wave get a wrench on their level 2 and a remote explosive for level 3. My god, this chick's a certified terrorist! Get her out of these races! My personal favorite though is Eggman, as he's just pure hands. He'll give you the backhand if you get near him, and that by far is devious. Bro can outrun Sonic, so I'm not surprised he can give back shots like it's another Friday night. Did Eggman just fart on Rouge? Never mind, this guy's sick. I have to find another main now because I don't want to be associated with that. Wait, is that Nathaniel? Oh my god, it's the GOAT! Let's show all the contestants the true superpower of BS. Let's go, my boy! Grind those rails, jump those ramps. That's my boy, Ash, get it! It just shows you how intricate the game's mechanics are, and what makes this fun at the end of the day is learning how to master them. Even the running start itself has complexity to it. Basically, you are given a timer, and if you run at the starting line just right, you'll get massive amounts of speed at the beginning, but failing to do so will cause you to get electrocuted. Sure, they're tough, but it feels rewarding to actually get good at this game, as the incentive of doing so will give you amazing speed, air, and fancy tricks to put Tony Hawk to shame. With that said, the final mechanic in this game is one that requires the most patience, because in my opinion, it's the most difficult to master. I am of course talking about drifting. You can call it cornering, drifting, or even letting it rip like a Beyblade, because at the end of the day, what makes or breaks this game is if you can perfect this skill at all. During certain sections of the course, you will be given a sharp corner that you can't regularly turn on, making it so that you are required to drift in order to avoid kissing the wall like you're an initial D. And it's by far one of the most exhilarating moments in the game. The timing and placement of your character when entering a drift is crucial, as it will determine if you have a smooth drift or a sporadic drift. My only gripe though with drifting, and even with any of the other mechanics as a matter of fact, is how underprepared you are. Like I said, I enjoyed mastering these mechanics, but the fact that this game doesn't necessarily teach you how to perfect them makes it frustrating at certain points. Specifically, during the last race tracks in both the Heroes and Babylon Rogue's story, Babylon Garden and Sky Road. Holy shit, you want to talk about a massive difficulty spike, then look no further than this track. But the point I'm trying to make is that this track is difficult. Yeah, go in the comments and tell me that I suck and I have skill issues. I can confidently say that you will not win this race on your first attempt. The AI racers will give you a run for your money, but the part that makes this track an absolute challenge is the amount of drifting you are required to perform. No, seriously, this track has to have the most amount of drifting segments in any of the other tracks in the game. You see, this wouldn't be a problem had this game had better prepared the players when it came to drifting. During my first few initial attempts at this race, I kept falling off the track, and it's only when I got help from the awesome people who came to watch me live stream this game that I realized that you have to fully sharpen the drift in order to avoid falling off. Now once that was resolved, it became one of my favorite tracks to play on, and it's the sole reason why I have mixed feelings about drifting, because it's a solid mechanic where once you master it, the drifting is fun and smooth. However, the fact that this game doesn't teach you how to drift properly is what makes this whole experience vexing. Reiterating what I said earlier in the video, I find it disappointing that this game is held back because of its oversight on not giving a proper tutorial for the players, because this game is genuinely fun, and its mechanics are fundamentally solid once you get comfortable with them. What also makes this gameplay solid is the various tracks they are able to play on. In total there are 19 tracks, but 3 of those are survival maps, meaning that you actually have 16 tracks to play in regular races. Now, I wasn't sure at first how to go about this, but initially I was going to say that really there are 8 tracks in total, with the other 8 being reskins of the main 8 tracks. But then I remembered that although these tracks have similar aesthetics because of their location, the layouts are night and day. The best tracks to analyze for this video are Sand Ruins and Dark Desert. Sand Ruins is in the daytime and you have some awesome shortcuts to take, and it leads to the inside section where you ultimately end up at some crossbow that shoots you at the beginning of the race. Whereas Dark Desert reduces the amount of shortcuts given and opt in for more ramps to give you the chance to gain some awesome airtime while you're in the outdoor segments of the race. Now to me, the biggest selling point of this course is the inside section, as from there it gets crazy with its layout, giving you the chance to take a shortcut or do continuous ramps to get to the launch pad, which puts you in this sick energy ball, leading you back outside and having to continue the race from there. If anything, most of the Babylon maps are challenging and give you less safety compared to the Heroes track, and I think that's just amazing because it really shows you how there's a progression in difficulty the further you move along in the course lists. And speaking of course lists, the 3 survival maps are interesting to say the least. They are just closed areas where you play the modes, so it's very simple when it comes to the map layout. And before I talk about survival mode and all the other game modes that the game offers, I'll briefly talk about Grand Prix, as it's just free racing, except it's a series of races you participate in before scoring a placement at the very end. It's a fun mode if you aren't looking to do story mode. Survival mode is one of the other party modes where you go against other players or bots, and it comes in 2 categories: battle stage and race stage. Battle stage is fun as the goal is to take away other players' lives until they have none. Race stage, however, I would say is brutal because the goal is to take away the Chaos Emerald from enemies and go through the hoops to score. And at first it seems like it's a fun party mode to do, but the problem lies is that there are 90 hoops you have to score before winning. Yeah, no, I'm good. The last party mode is tag mode, where you and other players or bots work together to beat 2 other riders. And what makes this mode fun is how there's a meter to show how far apart you and your partner are. The goal is to finish the race, but in order to do that, you have to be near your partner at all times because you guys share the same air gauge, meaning that if you guys are split apart, it will deplete fast. And this is fun because it has an added level of challenge, trying to be fast while maintaining pace with your partner. Oh yeah, there's missions too, but they aren't too notable. You basically are tasked to do objectives on each map that require different stipulations. They aren't the worst, but it does take a lot of practice if you want to get the highest ranking on each mission. I just personally think it gets redundant after the first 2 maps. Though, it does pay off to do these missions because aside from the races, the missions are another way of gaining rings which can be used at the item shop. There's not really much to talk about this feature, but this is where you'll get all the fun rider gear that you can use in the game. And what's a Sonic video without talking about its music? I'm not gonna go into crazy detail about the music because no matter what Sonic game you'll play, the music is top quality. Sonic Riders is no exception to this. From menu music to racing soundtrack, it has this high-paced fusion style music that really immerses you into the world of Sonic Riders, mixing genres of rock, techno, and some hip-hop to give this game a futuristic aesthetic. It's music that really reminds me of other racing games that emphasize the street racing genre, like Need for Speed and Midnight Club to name a few. Overall, Sonic Riders is an amazing game. I definitely believe that this game is held back by a few missed turns such as the lack of a tutorial, the absurdness of survival mode, and even the redundancy of mission mode. Yet, despite these shortcomings, the gameplay, story, music, and the variety of tracks to play on is what makes Sonic Riders an unforgettable experience when it comes to racing games. I say this because Sonic Riders as a game does an excellent job at capturing the spirit of racing and competition. And as I said at the beginning of this video, say what you will about the Rider series, but there's just no denying that the first game left an impact for many Sonic fans. I mean, that's why we are so happy to see the Extreme Gear make a return in CrossWorlds. And it's in my opinion that Sonic Riders is perfect. And after this video, I hope you guys can see where I'm coming from. Though, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Sonic Riders. Do you guys hate it? Do you guys love it? Let me know. With that said, I'm out of here, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more in the future. So until then, crew, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye!